time span. So he's donated $1.5 million to GOP candidates as opposed to $405,000 to Democratic politicians.
Yeah. So 3 times as much.
3 times as much. Right.
Yeah. And so how can they claim him to be this super liberal? That drives me crazy when people say, "Oh, he's a super liberal." He's not a super liberal. He's a social moderate at worst. Mm-hmm. That's all you can really say about Donald Trump. He's a guy that wants less regulations. He's a businessman. He understands that. Right. He was operating under the system that have been set up by people like Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush and George Bush. That's the system. This is the real world. In a mythical world of rainbows and unicorns and true conservatives, sure, Ted Cruz looks great. Let's put him on as the most conservative constitutional candidate. This is the real world, and the real world has been corrupted by bureaucracy and progressivism. And this is what you have to do. If you want to succeed in business in the world, that means playing the game. And Donald said it last night so well at the debate. He really did. I've been there. I know the system. I've played it very well. I'm the guy that knows how to end it. Yeah, and he's correct. Because you know what? He controlled it by paying in and playing the game that they set up.
Yeah, we're going to be discussing the GOP debate with my guest coming up in a few minutes. Mr. Pinko, he's co-hosted before with me here on the Silent Majority. The number is 347-338-1775. So again, here you have, and for all the people that are saying, Ted Cruz, he was against the ethanol. He was so brave. Breitbart was saying this morning, he was so brave, to go against ethanol in Iowa, and he still won. And then I said to myself, you do know that a lot of his campaign contributions come from big oil companies who want ethanol to, cease to exist so they can eventually make more money. And to think that, these big oil companies do get subsidized. I think 3 times more than the ethanol subsidies. Sure, listen, I'm not here to debate whether ethanol is good for the environment, whether it's not, good for the environment. But the bottom line is this. The only reason why he was against the ethanol was simply because he had his backers, his donors that he had to answer to. That's the only reason.
Yeah, he's no different politician. He's not the saint in the Bible, Pentecostal, whatever, that was all breaking today on Drudge as well. Yeah. But you know what? Don't slam your Bible around and claim that mantle of being a good Christian when you are no different than the Marco Rubios and the Jeb Bushes and the John Kerrys and the Hillary Clintons, because he's not. All you have to do is Google up the campaigns, the funding for each of the people that are in the race right now, and you see Ted Cruz on top with Goldman Sachs money and money coming out of Wall Street. Mm. It's very easy to see, and there's no hiding it. And yet the media, which is complicit in this, is hiding that fact. And that leads back to your initial story about Breitbart as well. Right.
Hold on one second. We got a caller on the line. How you doing, Johanna? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Tennessee.
Hi, how are you? Welcome to the Silent Majority here on New Media Patriot Radio.
Oh, well, thanks for taking my call.
Oh, you're welcome.
I just was wanting to say a few things about the debate.
Sure.
Number one, there's enough already of those, but I'm a Trump supporter.
Okay.
And have been. I started out supporting Cruz, and some of the shenanigans that went on in Iowa, I just did not think were right.
Okay.
But the GOP, they've just blatantly turned dirty. And, from back in the audience where they boo and carry on like a 7th grade pep rally, it's ridiculous. And I'm really just so discouraged by the whole process, and reading about Rubio saying vote for Kasich and this. I mean, they're just disrupting the whole voting process and what it's about, and it just absolutely just makes you think. I've had some real hard Democrat call yesterday he's a judge in a county close to where I live, and he said, I have never voted Republican, and I just did in Tennessee. He's talking about when we just had our voting.
Well,
and I said, what changed your mind? And he said, well, just the dirtiness of how this, election has turned.
well,
And I said it is so dirty.
well, Joanna, that's exactly why Donald Trump is resonating, is the fact that now with this new outlet that we have here, this new media, I mean, you can uncover the truth yourself if you want to. It is up to you to show your do your due diligence and research on your own.
Romney get off? Where does he think that he deserves to come in and tell us what we are going to do? I said to somebody on Twitter today, I said, this isn't even about Trump anymore. I said, Trump could walk butt naked to 1600 Avenue and Pennsylvania Avenue, and I'm still voting for him. I mean, that's how I feel. So, because now I'm just absolutely going against them. This business about Ted Cruz, having the Bushes in there in his,
it's Mr.
gang.
Pinto.
I'm over all that. Now this is strictly non-establishment at this point. Trump couldn't say anything. I don't even read what they say about him because, number one, I don't believe them.
Right.
And the way the media just makes stuff up. I mean, when you turn on the news, you go, are we living in North Korea? For God's sake.
Well,
I'm glad, Joanna.
Go ahead, Gary.
Joanna, I'm glad that you said that, because I'm the same as you. I was a big Cruz supporter, and when I saw that first, those mailers that went out in Iowa and throwing Ben Carson under the bus, that was my first glimpse at, wait a minute, you better fire somebody right now for having done that. And he did nothing. He waited until South Carolina before they finally fired somebody. And I thought, you know what? You are condoning this, or you know about it, one or the other. And it finally got rid of that guy. But it keeps escalating. There are more and more things.
Look at the name Jeff Rowe. That's where I said that I drew the line, because I'm originally from St. Louis, and my brother-in-law told me a story about that Jeff Rowe being connected to somebody he was friends with in St. Louis.
Right.
And I'm telling you, I'm through with Cruz. I would not vote for him.
Well,
if you told me I was never going to have to pay another tax, I wouldn't vote for him.
Well, Joanna, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for participating here. And this is what this show's about. It's about you. It's about getting your voice heard here on the Silent Majority on New Media Patriot Radio.
One more thing?
You can say one more thing. I have other calls on the line, but if you can make it brief.
I know. I just want to say this to all people that are listening to this. When you go to the voting poll, take your cell phone in there. It says you take a picture of your vote so that you'll at least have some proof. Type of security.
Awesome.
Okay, and I thank you for listening to me rant.
And you can call whenever you like. Don't be a stranger. Call whenever you like. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys.
Bye-bye.
And God bless you.
Thanks, Joanna.
God bless you.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All right, you're listening to New Media Patriot here, and the number to call is 347-338-1775. And I want to welcome in Mr. Pinko, my co-host from the last show. How are you, Mr. Pinko?
Good, Chris. Yeah, I'm actually having a rough day today.
Oh, what happened?
Well, I'm really good friends. One of my best buddies passed away today, and some people might know who he is Keith Emerson from Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Oh, wow.
Sorry to hear that, man. Yeah, he passed away last night, and I found out the news today, and it's been a rough day. Sorry. Sorry.
Oh, it's all right, man. If you didn't have to call in, I mean, if you were, having a rough day.
It's funny because somebody was trying to tear me out of the house, and then all of a sudden I said, "What time is it?" I try to be responsible.
Well,
I heard your previous. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me just let everybody know who's listening right now. You're listening to Chris. I'm your host, Chris, on New Media Patriot Radio here. Mr. Pinko, I have no idea who he is, but he comes on my show and he talks, and that's all that matters to me is the fact that he's very knowledgeable and he's very opinionated, which is why I have him on, which is when you see the banners that I put out, the show promotions, every time he's on, I put a silhouette because I really don't know who he is. He just goes by the name of Mr. Pinko.
You're never going to.
and I'm never going to. But anyway, what were you saying? Did you listen to have you been listening to the show to this point?
What was that? Oh, no. Oh, hold on. Sure. I got some really other bad news here.
Uh-oh.
Oh, my God. I got to go, guys.
All right.
I'm sorry. I got to go.
Take care. Whoa. That was...
Ouch.
Whoa, he was really having...
Ouch. Well, you'll have to get him back on just so we can figure it out. But, man,
wow.
That's brutal news. Emerson, Lake, and Palmer, man. That was a band I grew up with, dude. That makes me feel old. It really does.
Yeah, and I was trying to lighten things up, describing to the people why he's always on my show, and he's a great guy. And I don't know him personally, obviously, because I don't know who he is. But he called into my show, one of my shows, and he says, "Hey, it's Mr. Pinko," and I go, "Hey, Mr. Pinko." So we started talking and stuff, and next thing you know, I said, "You know what? I want to have you on one of my shows. I want you to co-host with me." And he's co-hosted about 2 shows with me, and he's awesome. He's a wealth of information, and I don't want to know who he is because I think it's pretty cool to know that I have a co-host that I don't know. I don't know exactly who
now,
he is.
Is he one of the guys on Twitter too? Is that his handle on Twitter?
Yeah, that's his handle on Twitter, Mr. Pinko.
Okay, I'm gonna have to friend him.
Yeah, friend him. So anyway, moving right along here, let's talk about we were talking about how new media is playing a huge part during this election cycle, but at the same time, it's being taken over by the same people that have taken over mainstream media. It's being taken over by those same people. Case in point. We have a billionaire by the name of Robert Mercer who purchased this. I just read this. This is coming from Conservative Treehouse. The billionaire purchased Breitbart.com. This is perhaps one of the more well-known ideological political purchases. A complete usurpation of the legacy of the founder, in an effort to create a content favorable to the candidacy of Ted Cruz. Mercer purchased Breitbart for $11 million and then founded Cruz's super PAC with another $10 million. And this is amazing. When I read this, I knew exactly what they were talking about, because now I know why I received so many when I signed up for the polls. Remember when they had the Breitbart polls? I signed up. Yep. I signed up with my email. Soon after that, I was getting inundated with Ted Cruz emails, like, donate to Ted Cruz. Oh, Ted Cruz is appearing here. Donate to Ted Cruz. And I'm saying, how did Ted Cruz get my email? I have no idea. And it was through Breitbart. And now I know, because the billionaire Mercer purchased the company. And if you don't know who Mercer is, basically, he's a Long Island-based hedge fund, who basically is bankrolling Senator Ted Cruz's campaign for the Republican nomination. And he owes, he's been investigated for the last 6 years. I think he owes something like $6 billion to the IRS. I don't know why they haven't caught him as of yet. But again, here's a guy who's supporting a quote unquote outsider who basically wants to get him, elected solely because Ted Cruz supports getting rid of the IRS, and I guess that would take one of the biggest problems, off his one of the biggest monkeys off Mercer's back. Did you read that article at all?
Yes, I've got it in front of me too right now. The deeper I dig into it, the more my eyes are like saucers right now, because they're also going into the Daily Wire, being owned by 2 other billionaires who are also backing Ted Cruz. And so Ted Cruz is as deep into Wall Street as you can get. I am just blown away. And you know what, Chris? This is what, when you were just saying there, the new media page, this is the new media. You are on the cutting edge of this, because who would have thought that Twitter could have such an effect on America today? And it literally is opening up things. This would have 10 years ago would have slid right by and nobody would have known anything. Yeah. But it's getting out despite these billionaires buying up the internet media sources that we used to rely on only a few months back or last year. Here it is being uncovered by guys like you, guys like me, bloggers out on the internet. So, it does make me feel a little bit better that, you know what, we don't have a total lack of control. You know, you and I and every person on Twitter that we deal with has some control, because thousands of people are seeing